Hi, today we are adding, subtracting, and multiplying functions. So, function notation is just a fancy way of writing things that we've already been doing. So, for example, we've already been adding things together, but now we're going to write it in this format. So, what this format means is that we are going to take the f function and we're going to add it to the g function, and we're going to be using the variable x, right? So that's going to be the thing that is being substituted into our equation, right? For most of our equations, f and g will already have x in them. If it was an a, we'd change it to an a. We'll get there. So there's another way that we might see it, which is f of x plus g of x, right? So we're going to take the f equation and add it to the g equation. We're using the variable x, the same thing. Might also see the word sum. So find the sum of f of x and g of x. All of these things mean the exact same thing. Each means the same thing. We're going to take the f plus the g, we're going to add it together. Similar is true for subtraction. So we have f minus g of x. We have f of x minus g of x. And it says find the difference of f of x and g of x. Remember, difference means subtraction in the same way that sum means addition. And then finally, we have what's in the green section here, which is fg of x, or f times g of x. Remember, when we have two things next to each other, it means multiply, right? So we're going to be multiplying, in this case, using the variable x. It could also be written as f of x times g of x, or find the product. Remember, product means multiply. So we'll do two problems with addition, two problems with subtraction, and two problems with multiplication. We'll use these ones here. So they say let f of x equal this thing, g of x equal this thing, and h of x equal this thing, and k of x equals this thing. So we have four functions here, one labeled f, one labeled g, one labeled h, and one labeled k. So for this function, it's telling me find f plus h of x. So they're not saying we want to multiply x at the end. This is just a notation where they're telling us they want us to take the f equation and the h equation and add them together. This is exactly the same as writing f of x plus h of x. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go get the f of x equation, which I see is 4x minus 3. So 4x minus 3. And I'm going to add it to the h equation, which I see is x squared minus 3x plus 1. X squared minus 3x plus 1. I want to add these things together, and as I know when I'm adding, I need to use like terms. So I'm going to look for my highest degree here is x squared. So we'll start with that. X squared doesn't have any like terms. I see 4x plus a negative 3x. Those are like terms. So 4 plus negative 3 is like 4 minus 3, which would be plus 1x. And then I have negative 3 plus positive 1. So negative 3 plus 1 would be minus 2. So we could say that when we combine f of x and h of x, we get this function here. Get that function there. Remember, this x just means like this is the variable that we're using. It does not mean multiply that in. Right? So for this next one, it says h plus g. So I'm going to take the h equation, add it to the g equation, and then it's showing me here that x, this would normally be an x, but x is actually negative 4. So we read this h plus g of negative 4. So at the end, we're going to substitute x in for negative 4. So I'm going to start by taking h of x, which is this one here, x squared minus 3x plus 1, plus g of x, which is this one here, x or 2x plus 1. I'm going to combine like terms. So I have x squared by itself, negative 3x plus 2x would be negative x, And positive 1 plus positive 1 would be plus 2. Wow. Is that possible? Oh yeah, very similar. Check that out. Very similar. Um, anyways, not exactly the same. Now, since x was equal to negative 4, right? This is the same as like, remember when we had h of negative 4, we would take negative 4 and plug it in anywhere that we saw x. This is exactly the same in this instance. So x is negative 4 here. So I'm going to change the x's into negative 4s. So negative 4 squared minus negative 4 plus 2. Right, so I'm substituting in that negative 4 anywhere that I see x in the equation. And then I'm going to simplify. So negative 4 squared, negative 4 times negative 4, 16. Negative times a negative makes positive 4 plus 2. Like so. So I have 16 plus 4 is 20 plus 2, 22 would be my answer. Right, so if it has x there, that means we're going to leave x in our answer. If it has a number here, that means we're going to change the x's into that number once we've combined the equations together. Okay, let's try something similar with subtraction. So as a reminder, when we have subtraction, that's exactly the same as saying f of x minus g of x. So in this case, we say g of x minus h of x. So I have g of x minus h of x. I'm going to go back to my equations. G of x is 2x plus 1. I am subtracting h of x, which is x squared minus 3x plus 1, like that. I want to put parentheses around it because I want to subtract this entire function here. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute that subtraction sign in. So I have minus x squared plus 3x minus 1. Still have 2x plus 1 at the beginning. So I'm going to start here. My largest degree, my biggest exponent, negative x squared, goes first. I have 2x and 3x make positive 5x. And I have positive 1 and negative 1, which will cancel each other out. So negative x squared plus 5x would be my answer. Right? Remember that I'm going to leave my variable in because it tells me my variable is here. Okay. Now in this next one, we see again, instead of x, we have 2. So we know at the end, we're going to plug in 2. But first we need to combine our functions. So f minus g of 2. So f is, let's see, this would be f of x minus g of x. So f of x is 4x minus 3. We're subtracting g of x, which is 2x plus 1. So I have I'm going to distribute that negative in. So I know that it goes on to both pieces, negative 2x minus 1. I still have 4x minus 3 from the beginning. Looking for like terms, I see 4x minus 2x, 2x. And I see negative 3 minus 1 would be negative 4. If it asks for f minus g of x, we would be done. But since it says f minus g of 2, we want to take out that x and plug in a 2. So instead of x, we're going to put in 2. That means I have 2 times 2 minus 4. 2 times 2 would be 4 minus 4 is 0. Our answer is 0. So you'll start to notice a pattern here. If it says something of x, then our answer is probably going to have x's in it. If it says f plus g of a number, our answer is going to be a number by itself. Same thing here. If we have subtraction that ends with x, we should have x in our answer. That ends in a number, we should have a number as our answer. Okay. So plus and minus, we're just combining like terms. And then for multiplication, we need to use the box. So we're going to use the box for this question here. It might be a slightly bigger box than we're used to. So this one says h times k. So I'm going to get the h equation and the k equation. So h would be x squared minus 3x plus 1. And the k equation is negative 4x squared plus 3x minus 10. So for this one, we need to multiply x squared minus 3x plus 1. And then across the top, negative 4x squared plus 3x minus 10. So we're going all the way over here, just like that. And I can see it is a bigger box, but it's going to work in exactly the same way as the normal box. So negative 4x squared times x squared, negative 4x to the fourth, 3x times x squared, 3x to the third, x squared times negative 10, negative 10x squared, negative 4x squared times negative 3x, positive 12x to the third, negative 3x times positive 3x, negative 9x squared, negative 10 times negative 3 would be positive 30 with that x on it, and then positive 1 times negative 4, x squared, positive 1 times negative 3x, or positive 3x, positive 3, positive 1 times negative 10 is negative 10. Cool. As you might notice, we have common, we have like terms if we go in the diagonal direction. So we see we have x to the third here, we have x squareds here, we have x's here. So we're going to combine those. We start here, negative 4x to the fourth. Positive 12 and positive 3 make positive 15 x to the third. Negative 4 and negative 9 make negative 13, and negative 10 makes negative 23x squared. 3x plus 30x is positive 33x, and negative 10 at the end is negative 10. So all of this is our function answer for h times k. That's going to be the hardest one that you see today. Right. Awesome. All right, so same thing is going to happen here. We're just going to put that number in at the end. So we're doing g times h. So g is 2x plus 1 times h, which is x squared minus 3x plus 1. So there are two ways that we can do this problem. One is we can actually plug in negative 1 and just do the math. Or we can multiply them together and then plug in negative 1. So I'll show you the first method, which would be like 2x plus 1, and then x squared minus 3x plus 1. So we'd have 2x to the third minus 6x squared, 2x, x squared, negative 3x plus 1, x squared and x squared, x and x. So you'd have 2x to the third minus 5x squared minus x plus 1, something like that. And then remember that x is negative 1. So anywhere I see an x, I'm going to plug in that negative 1. So I'd have 2 times negative 1 to the third minus 5 times negative 1 squared minus negative 1 plus 1. So I'd have 2 times negative 1 to the third is negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. Negative, negative, negative makes a negative 1. Minus 5 times a negative makes positive 1. And then negative times a negative makes positive 1 plus 1. So I have negative 2 minus 5 plus 1 plus 1. Negative 2 plus 5, negative 2 minus 5 is negative 7, negative 6, negative 5. Negative 5 is my answer. Okay, so I can do it this way. Some people might like a shortcut or might like to do it in a different way. So that is method one. Method two is I can actually take these exact same equations, 2x plus 1 times x squared minus 3x plus 1. This is the same g, the same h, right? But I'm going to go ahead and plug in -1 right now, right? So I'm taking the x and plugging in -1. And then for here, I'm going to plug in -1 squared minus 3 times -1 plus 1, right? So again, my x is turning into -1, x is -1. I know this is something times something. I need to figure out what those two somethings are. So 2 times -1 would be -2 plus 1 would be -1. And then I have -1 squared would be 1 plus 3 plus 1. 1 plus 3 plus 1 is 5. So I ultimately have -1 and -5. -1 times -5 is -5, just like we saw right here. So you can decide if you want to do the multiplication, like multiply the two functions together and then plug in the number, like we did in the first section, or if you want to plug the number straight in and then multiply them together. As you can see, I think it's actually slightly less work to do the second method. So you can check that out. All right. So we have adding, combining like terms, subtracting, combining like terms. Well, distribute the negative, then combine like terms, and multiplication using the box. Okay. That is adding, subtracting, and multiplying. Let me know what questions you have. Thanks, y'all.